begin to imagine. And it was when I stopped thinking so much about myself and started thinking about somebody else and started encouraging her, that I started saying, would you wake up and listen to your own dang advice? You know, have you ever heard your own words and felt like a hypocrite? It's like, okay, I gotta stop playing. I gotta stop feeling sorry for myself. I gotta get up. Because now I got 3 kids to take care of. And her son, he's a big boy. Okay? He just turned 14. He's 210 pounds. He's like 5'8", 5'9". He's a big boy. And he ain't even finished. Well, he just started. Okay? So, he does not play. So what I did was, I started law school, but didn't have enough money to finish that. But what I did start is I said, okay, I'm going to go back trying my own business. That had been bugging me for a while. So I started my business called HR Strategic Consulting, and it's been challenging. Okay, I go after, I do human resources consulting. I do have a couple of clients now. Yay! You know, but it's a challenge. The other thing that I went to do is I started teaching, because I have a master's degree. And, you know, I'm not public speaking, it's not an issue for me. So I started teaching at DeVry University, and I've been teaching there now for a little over 3 years. And the #1 class that they assigned me to teach was career development. So I taught that 7 times straight. So by the time I finished teaching that class, I had developed all these tools. And I recognized that there were so many college students that were about to finish and still didn't know what they wanted to do, or had realized that the degree they got was not what they wanted to do. That's all they knew. And I said, I went to that and said, okay, what can I learn from this? What tools can I develop to help people? And so that's some of the stuff that I'm sharing with you today. Okay? And the #1 thing that I found is that so many people want to rush to do a resume. Just help me do a resume. Let me have the perfect resume. Let me keep playing with that thing and have a dozen different resumes till I have the perfect one for each of these different jobs that I could do. Right? So I have learned to take a huge step back, because when you just do that, you stay in that survival cycle, that desperation of let me get something, let me get something. So I'm challenging you to take a step back and get to a lot of self-assessment. Okay? And at the core of your assessment is this identity issue. Work is often our identity, especially for men. This is more true with men, okay? But for single moms, we tend to take a lot of those characteristics on because we're it, okay? The problem is that if you don't understand who you are, then your focus becomes on something else out here. You have to first figure out this so that everything else falls in line. If you have this messed up, your foundation is messed up, your house is crumbling. Okay? Now, in terms of responsibility, everybody understands we have a responsibility to work. Right? There's plenty of proverbs out there about, you know, the sluggard being lazy and let them be hungry, and right? But do we all recognize that God has given each of us very specific gifts? You guys know the story in Matthew 25, right? Where it says, it's Matthew 25, beginning in verse 14 through chapter 30. And basically it's a story where the guy's going away and he gives his 3 servants talents. Now talents in that time was termed as money. But talents is talents. God gives each of us talents. And we have a responsibility to develop those talents. Right? We all agree with that? Yes. Does anybody think, well, I have no talents? Okay, good. A lot of times what I find, especially for women, or women who've been housewives for a long period of time, or people that have been kept at a low level, generally, they tend to see themselves very small. They tend to minimize their talents and their gifts. Also a lot of military tend to do that, because they just think I'm a warrior. No, okay? You have to learn to take those talents and those skills and apply them in a different way. God has given each and every one of us talents. And the more talent and gifts you have, the greater the level of your responsibility. Right? Here's a couple scriptures for you. There's, some others, Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Romans 11:36, for everything comes from him and exists by his power and is intended for his glory. Each of us is created for a purpose. And that purpose is to honor God and to care for our families. We are all equipped. When you start seeing yourself small, when you start minimizing who you are and what you have, remember, God made you for a purpose. My skills are not your skills, and your skills are not my skills. I'm not any better than anybody in this room. What you have is for you. God needs you to use what he gave you in the specific way that he intends for you to use it. Please don't downplay who you are, because God made you that way for a reason. We all have different personalities, and personality is a main component, okay, of our identity. Outgoing people have their pros, and we have our cons. I assure you. You somebody like, oh, amen. Here's it. The introverts, they have their pros, and they have their opportunities. Okay? And we should all be working forward to capitalize on our strengths and minimize our opportunities. Okay? So I want you to all do me a favor, everybody, look at each other and say, you're made for a purpose.
You're made for a purpose.
Do you believe it?
Yes.
Or are you just being polite? Okay, she told us to do it. Okay, so now I want you to say to yourself, I am made for a purpose.
I am made for a purpose.
I have skills and talents.
I have skills and talents.
Good. Gifts cannot be lost. Just like salvation cannot be lost, gifts can't be lost. Romans 11:29. Can't be lost. So even if you had, you know what I found a couple times? I found that sometimes people felt they had a calling or they had a gift in something. For example, my sister. My sister is great with little kids. Kindergarten to like 3rd grade. Little kids. Annoys me, but she's great with them, right? So what happened is she knew it, and she went out very fast trying to be a teacher. She went working in a private school. This was like 10, 12 years ago. Okay, she went working with the kids. Well, she went working with teenagers, and they ate her alive. Okay, why? Because she was in the right field, but she jumped to it before she was prepared for it, before she had learned classroom management skills, and in the wrong age category. But that crushed her spirit so hard because she felt so, they just ate her alive, and it just hurt her so bad and wounded her that she gave up. My sister has a bachelor's degree, and she's working in Wendy's. Now, for me, it annoys me to no end because I know God has something else for her. But until she accepts it for herself, she's going to stay right there making minimum wage, talking about, oh, they're going to put me through management training. Okay? That's what they tell all these hopefuls that come in there with a degree. Some of them do and some of them don't. But you know what? We have, this world is also full of a lot of steady eddies. Okay? Steady, what I call a steady eddy is a person that they get into something and they're happy packing a box for 20 years. You know what? We need some steady eddies in this world. We don't need everybody being steady eddies, but we need some. Okay? And if that's you, and you can get into something, and you can be there 10 and 20 years, and you're quite content, God bless you. But please let it be something that you're not just stuck in survival mode, and you're steady trying to bust your head of how you're going to take care of your kids. Okay? Get into survival mode where you're making middle income, where you're making 50, 60 grand a year. So you're like, okay, I'm going to be a steady Eddie, but I'm going to be a steady Eddie with a little bit of ching. Right? Okay. So, if you have had, and I saw another lady that did that. She was supposed to, help people, and her heart was so soft that she took it personal when she couldn't help everybody. You know what? If you have a calling, if you have a gift in something, you have to get it developed so you're prepared when you go in there. Okay? So if you've tried something before and you got spanked, go back and learn from it, okay? Remember that everything contributes to your development. One of my favorite scriptures is Romans 8:28. That's a life scripture for me. For all things work together. What? What'd you say? Who knows? All things work together for the good. Now, people like to skip that last piece. To those who've been called according to His purpose. Okay? So that's a key, that's a key foundational, that's a clincher there, according to His purpose. So everything will work for your good according to His purpose, not our own purpose. Sometimes we ask for things that are not good for us. If you're asking for something that's not good for you, it ain't going to happen. If you're asking for a whole lot of money and you are not ready yet to manage that money in a good way, then you should not get that money. And God's not going to give it to you because He's only going to give you good gifts, right? So if you want a really good job in a really good company, but you're not ready to handle it yet, maybe that's what you need to do. It's like, okay, Lord, help me be ready to handle the blessing you're about to give me. Right? So, if you failed in the past, if you got fired, guess what? You're in good company. Okay? Some of the best people been fired. And it can be the best thing that ever happened to you. Okay? It will contribute if you learn from it. And it makes you stronger, right? Because we know what don't kill us makes us stronger. You can choose to play the victim. And here's when I was young, and what was going on in my house, I was a victim. Things happened to me that I didn't bring on myself. Okay. Welcome back. Yay. Now I'm hoping the usually well-equipped women that we are, that we have pens. Because I'm going to ask and I'm going to suggest that you guys go ahead and take some notes at this point, okay? So let's make sure the phone, got some pens out. I'm going to go over construction of a resume from my perspective and tell you why I do those things that I do. Okay? You ready? All right. First of all, your header. Your name, your address, sounds simple enough, right? Your phone number. Your phone number should be an accurate phone number. Please do not keep changing your phone number. Because if you put your resume out there and then you change because Metro PCS or your AT&T contract or whatever it is, you need to take your phone number with you. Because then you put that out there and you change your number and then nobody can call you. And you wonder like, oh, I've applied and nobody's called me. You need to have a phone number that is yours, okay? And that stays with you. And please, when people call your phone, I know you may love the Lord. You may have a very favorite song that you like to put on there. Please don't do that if you're looking for work, okay? Please do not have a song that they listen to that's loud. You may love it, beautiful. Love it as you walk. Don't love it when people call you. Or if you have a voice like this, hi, you called. Please don't do that. Okay? You want a professional. And don't do the automated thing. You have reached. Don't do that, because then you tell people that you do not know how to use technology enough to record a greeting. Okay? So I'm going to ask you, if you do not know how to use your